Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Welcome to Mikini Bhakti Vriksha. Happy Janmashtami to everybody. And we are soon awaiting the 125th appearance of our dear founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So on this special occasion of Janmashtami and for tomorrow's program, Vyasa Puja of Srila Prabhupada, a very nice verse comes to mind from Srimad Bhagavatam. And let's try to discuss that some more today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Canto 10, which is the Summum Bonum, Chapter 2, which is the prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb. So we'll read a little bit and then we'll discuss. As described in this chapter, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered the womb of Devaki to kill Kamsa, all the demigods understood that the Lord was living within Devaki's womb, and therefore, in veneration, they offered him the Garbhastuti prayers. Kamsa, under the protection of his father-in-law, Jarasandh, and with the help of his demonic friends like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavarta, Aghasura, Mushtika, Bana, and Bhaumasura began oppressing the members of the Yadu dynasty. Therefore, the members of the Yadu dynasty left their homes and sought shelter in such states as Kuru, Panchala, Kekaya, Salva, and Vidarbha. Only some of them stayed with Kamsa as nominal friends. After Kamsa killed the Garbhas, the 6 sons of Devaki, one after another, Anantadev entered Devaki's womb and was transferred to the womb of Rohini by the manipulation of Yogamaya, who was following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord himself, who was soon to appear, which is today, as the 8th son of Devaki, ordered Yogamaya to take birth from the womb of Yashoda Devi. Because Krishna and his potency, Yogamaya, appeared simultaneously as brother and sister, the world is full of Vaishnavas and Shaktas, and there is certainly some rivalry between them. Vaishnavas worship the Supreme Lord, whereas Saktas, according to their desires, worship Yogamaya in forms like Durga, Bhadrakali, and Chandika. Following the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya transferred Baladev, Sankarshan, the 7th child of Devaki, from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Because Sankarshan appeared in order to increase the love of Krishna, he is known as Baladeva. One may take auspicious strength from him to become a devotee of the Lord, and therefore he is also known as Balabhadra. After Yogamaya transferred the 7th child of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared within the heart of Vasudeva and transferred himself into the heart of Devaki. Because the Lord was present in her heart, Devaki, as her pregnancy continued, appeared effulgent. Upon seeing this effulgence, Kamsa was full of anxiety, but he could not harm Devaki because of their family relationship. Thus, he began indirectly thinking of Krishna and became fully Krishna conscious. Meanwhile, because of the Lord's presence within the womb of Devaki, all the demigods came to offer the Lord their prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, they said, is eternally the absolute truth. The spiritual soul is more important than the gross body, and the super soul, Paramatma, is still more important than the soul. The Supreme Godhead is absolutely independent, and its incarnations are transcendental. The prayers of the demigods glorify and exalt devotees and explain the fate of persons who superficially consider themselves liberated from the condition of material nature. A devotee is always safe. When a devotee fully surrenders at the lotus feet of the Lord, he is completely liberated from the fear of material existence. By explaining why the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends the prayers of the demigods clearly confirm the Lord's statement in Bhagavad Gita 4.7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So today is the most special appearance of of Lord Krishna. And here Krishna is saying that why does he descend? He descends for two reasons. One is to kill the demons, and more importantly, to please his devotees. So let's go into the prayers of the demigods, and they're praying to Lord Krishna, who is in the womb of Devaki. So we'll read from verse 31. And the reason this verse is so nice is because it glorifies Krishna and it also glorifies the Acharya, the Parampara. Text 31. Swayam samutriya sudhrishtanam dyuman bhavanavam bhimam adharbha sauradha bhavat padam puro navamatrate nidhaya yata sad anugraho bhavan. Translation. O Lord, so demigods are praying, O Lord, who resemble the shining sun, you are always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotee, and therefore you are known as a desire tree, Vancha Kalpataru. When acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of nations, they leave behind on earth the method by which they cross. And because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you accept this method to help them. Purport. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This statement reveals how merciful acharyas and the merciful Supreme Personality of Godhead together help the serious devotee who wants to return home back to Godhead. So I'm considering we all want to go back home, back to Godhead. So it's very important for us to hear this purport very carefully, because here Srila Prabhupada is saying that this statement of the demigods reveals how the acharyas and merciful Krishna is that together they can help a serious devotee who wants to go back home, back to Godhead. So he continues, Srila Prabhupada continues, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his teachings to Rupa Goswami said, Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Kripa Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bij. So this verse is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19:151 verse. One can achieve the seed of Bhakti Lata, which is devotional service or the Bhakti creeper, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The duty of the Guru is to find the means according to the time, the circumstance, and the candidate by which one can be induced to render devotional service. So what is the duty of the Guru? The duty of the Guru is to find the means, the path by which, according to the time, the circumstance, and the candidate, by which one can be induced to render devotional service. Now, the Guru can give the means according to the time, place, and circumstance, and the candidate, which Krishna accepts from a candidate who wants to be successful in going back home, back to Godhead. Now, after wandering throughout the universe, a fortunate person within this material world seeks shelter of such a Guru or Acharya who trains the devotee in the suitable ways to render service according to the circumstances, so that the Supreme Personality of Godhead will accept the service. So how merciful this is, right? How merciful Guru and Krishna are. That here whenever there is somebody who becomes serious, and Krishna knows, Krishna is in our heart, right? He is our best friend. He knows our true nature. And when Krishna from within can see that, okay, this person is now becoming serious, then he first reveals our guru, and then by the help of a guru who will find the right means, according to our circumstance, will help us to induce to render devotional service. And that devotional service, what the candidate performs, Krishna, who is so merciful, accepts that. So, because of the mercy of the Guru, we are induced into devotional service. And when we take that devotional service seriously, Krishna, who is so merciful, because of our Guru Maharaj, he accepts it. So, this makes it easier for the candidate to reach the ultimate destination. The Acharya's duty, therefore, is to find the means by which the devotees may render service according to references from Shastra. Rupa Goswami, for example, in order to help subsequent devotees, like all of us in the Parampara, published such devotional books as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Thus, it is the duty of the Acharya to publish books that will help future candidates take up the method of service and become eligible to return home back to Godhead by the mercy of the Lord. So this is the duty of the Acharya. The duty of the Acharya is to give us the right instructions, publish books, so that way future candidates, who become serious can take up this service and become eligible to return home back to Godhead. Now, that is the duty of the Acharya, right? To publish books. What is the duty of the disciple? A sincere disciple is to read, not only read, but even study the books, go really in detail, in these books. And a very, very nice example is of our dear Srila Prabhupada. Our dear Srila Prabhupada at the age of 70 plus, when we are seeing all around us how people at 70 plus, they are so old, right? So weak. But still, at that age, Srila Prabhupada founded ISKCON and traveled the world multiple times, set up 108 temples, so many disciples, and the most important was he translated so many books. So that way, all the devotees in the Western world, and even devotees from India, can actually go deeper into the subject matter and understand, what is the process for us to follow, so we can go back home, back to Godhead. So let's continue the purport. In our Krishna consciousness movement, this same path is being prescribed and followed. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us that. So now what is that process, right? Thus, the devotees have been advised to refrain from 4 sinful activities. So that's why this is Srila Prabhupada's instruction for our time, our place, our circumstance, and seeing us, how we are. So these are our instructions which we should follow. Refrain from 4 sinful activities: illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. So these are the don'ts. And what is the do? And to chant 16 rounds a day. These are bona fide instructions. So this is very, very important, right? This is Srila Prabhupada's bona fide instructions. He is the Acharya. And we are following in his parampara. And he has given these four sinful activities which we need to refrain from, and to chant a minimum of 16 rounds a day. Now, Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that boldly say that my devotees never perish, right? And the reason why he asked Arjuna to say that was because he knew that when my devotee says something, then I have to keep my word. Because he knew that sometimes he might have to go back on his word. A very famous example is which we have been reading, in Kalachandji temple, the beautiful pastime of Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev on the battlefield, because he wanted to see Krishna fight. And because he heard some really harsh words from Duryodhan that Bhishma Dev, you're only taking the side of Pandavas, he wanted to show that he's going to fight so fiercely that Arjuna will have no match. And then Krishna, to save his devotee, Arjuna, and to keep Bhishma Dev's word that he wanted to fight with Krishna, he had to break his promise, which was to never lift any arms in the Kurukshetra battle. And then we know that, how Krishna lifted the wheel and he fought, the chariot wheel, and then he fought. So this point is very important, that Krishna, he tells his devotee that whatever the devotee says, he keeps his word. And here what is pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada saying, that just by following these instructions, which is refrain from 4 sinful activities, which are illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating and gambling, and to chant a minimum of 16 rounds a day. These are bona fide instructions. And anybody who follows this very, very seriously, Krishna is going to accept this service, and this will help us to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, Srila Prabhupada continues. Because in the Western world, constant chanting is not possible, one should not artificially imitate Haridas Thakur, but should follow this method. Krishna will accept a devotee who strictly follows the regulative principles and the method prescribed in the various books and literatures published by the authorities. The Acharya gives the suitable method for crossing the ocean of nations by accepting the boat of the Lord's lotus feet. And if this method is strictly followed, the followers will ultimately reach the destination by the grace of the Lord. So this is very important, right? This point is very important. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that the Acharya gives this method, and when the disciple, the student, takes up this method, this boat, the boat by which we can go back home. So it's like Srila Prabhupada is the captain of our ship, and he's provided this beautiful boat of ISKCON. And if we jump on the ship, and we follow the instructions, then he will safely guide us back home, back to Godhead. Now, one important thing to remember is that on a boat, there are many passengers, and sometimes some passengers might not get along with the other passengers. Now, that doesn't mean that, we have to get off the boat. So the most important thing is, instead of focusing on, the other passengers, we need to focus on the main goal. And the main goal is, how can we serve ISKCON? And Srila Prabhupada has given, the main important thing is refrain from 4 sinful activities, because that is the crux for us to become, in the mode of goodness. And only when we are in the mode of goodness, we are able to transcend that mode and go back home, back to Godhead by the holy name, power of the holy name. So this method is called Acharya Sampradaya. So it is therefore said, Sampradaya Vihina Ye Matraste Nishphala Mata, Padma Puran. The Acharya Sampradaya is strictly bona fide. So what Srila Prabhupada has shared with us, the instructions he's given us, that is strictly bona fide. Therefore, one must accept the Acharya Sampradaya, otherwise one's endeavor will be futile. Sri Narottam Das Thakur therefore sings, Tande Racharana Sevi Bhakta Sanevasa Janme Janme Haya E Abhilasha. One must worship the lotus feet of Acharya and live within the society of devotees. Then one's endeavor to cross over nations will surely be successful. So this point is very, very important, from the prayers of the demigods in the womb to Lord Krishna, who's in the womb of Devaki, that we have to take this process very, very seriously of our Acharya Sampradaya. And whatever the pure devotee shares with us the instruction based on the time, the place, the circumstance, and the candidate, if the candidate takes those instructions seriously and tries to go deeper into the subject matter, it is certain that we can go back home, back to Godhead. So let us pray on this very, very beautiful and auspicious day of Sri Krishna Janmashtami and the 125th appearance of Srila Prabhupada, which is happening tomorrow, that we can take this instruction of Srila Prabhupada to our heart and follow it with, with our body, mind, words, and make our lifetime successful. Hare Krishna. And let's end with some kirtan. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Kalachandji Radha Kalachandji Radhe Jayo Radha Kalachandji Radha Kalachandji Radhe Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jai Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jai Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jagannath Swami, Nayana Patagami, Bhavatu Me, Jagannath Swami, Nayana Patagami, Bhavatu Me, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev. Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Hare Krishna. Wish you all a very, very happy and blissful Janmashtami and Srila Prabhupada's 125th birth appearance Vyasa Puja celebration for tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ita Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.